Okay, you know something? For the rest of my life, you people plan my surprises well. Let me just say that way. But why are you crying? Labor is sweet though. And I'm just like, hey, what do you mean by labor is sweet? Like my mouth dropped open when I saw. I was like, what rubbish. And I kept looking at the time. I was like, this baby needs to come before midnight. Let me tell you why. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Winging It with AC. My name is AC. Today I have a big human here with me, one of my very close friends, and we are talking about my labor and delivery story. Now the reason why I have her here is because right from the start of contractions to the delivery, she was there, as in like physically there. So I brought her here so that while I narrate the journey, she will also tell us her side of the story, like what she felt, what she experienced, and all of that. So I'm going to leave her to introduce herself, and then we'll start the video. Yes, madam.
Hi guys, my name is Estelle,
and she is the owner of Stell Salads. Check them out on Instagram. I will leave a link to her Instagram page in the description box. So today on this YouTube streets, I must say there's something called mukbang, whatever, however it's pronounced. So she made some delicious sandwiches and some sausages and her famous sobolo. That's what we are going to be eating and drinking while we talk. So if you have your sobolo in your house, pour some, sit back, relax, drink, and let's get started. So I'm going to begin from when I started my maternity leave. So I started my maternity leave exactly 2 weeks to my due date, which was a Monday. And because like it was my maternity leave proper that had begun, I started praying to God that the baby had to drop that week. So from Monday to Friday, I was always home alone because my husband would go to work. And so then there are days where I would be busy, I would be cooking, or I would just like relax the entire day. But I was trying to do things to induce labor because I was like, Lord, the baby needs to come like this week. By close of the week, the human being should be here. So sometimes I'll be bathing and I'll be doing squats up and down, or we have a staircase here, I'll be going up and down the staircase, but still nothing was happening. So on the Friday we had an all night. So we went to the all night, and honestly, I kid you not, I was jumping up and down doing praises. It was me and two other people were at the back of the church, and so like it was a sight to behold, like a pregnant woman, 38 weeks. I was jumping, like I wasn't like leaping is whatever. Point is, I was up and down. But getting to the close of the service, I started feeling so uncomfortable. It's like all of a sudden, it's like his movements were feeling slow. It's like he doesn't have space, and it was some wavy. So I was feeling so uncomfortable, and then I went down the staircase, and she was there at the time. So she was sitting by me, and then she was like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm just feeling uncomfortable. And my cousin was also sitting behind me, also feeling uncomfortable. Now remember this part of the story for later to come in very handy.
very.
So when we closed, we got home, but that day we didn't even close the all night early. It was like 6:15.
Yeah.
So we got home, we ate, and then I went to bed. Then around 12-ish, I woke up to I was like, I want to eat fried egg and bread. So I went to the kitchen to go and prepare it, and then I just sat down, like I was just tired. I was like, So I was sitting there for like, I don't know, 20 minutes. And then Richie comes and he was like, what's going on? I'm like, I want to eat bread and fried egg. He was like, okay. So he just took the frying pan and everything and just started, he fried everything, made the toast, and then he gave it to me. I ate. But then once I ate, I couldn't go and lie down again because I had to let the food settle, because when you're that pregnant, the food just rises so easily. When I went to lie down, then suddenly I felt a very familiar pain, and it was like, this thing feels like cramps, like menstrual cramps. And I was like, I was like, okay. So then it stopped. Then about, I don't know, 7-10 minutes later, it happened again. And I was like, okay, let's let it pass. Then it happened again. And I was like, So at that time, Richie was still sleeping again. So I woke him up and I was like, something is going on. It's like I'm having cramps. And then he was like, could you believe? I was like, no. So I used, there's this app that I have on the phone. It was it Baby Center or Ovia? One of them. It has a contraction timer. So I decided to open it up and use it. So we're timing the contractions. And then we realized that like they were literally like 5 minutes apart. So when I realized, I was like, hey, like from all the videos I've watched, this is serious. So by then it was like 3 o'clock, I think. Yes. So by the time I alerted him, it was 2:30. So we monitored it till 3 o'clock, and then we called the doctor, and the doctor was like, that's labor, so you need to get to the hospital. But prior to that, she was asleep, and Richie was like, Estelle says she wants to take you out. I'm like, take me out where? She's like, she just wants to take you out. So I was like, okay. And he has to go for rehearsal, so he was like, when he's going for rehearsal, then he will take us along, and then wherever it is that she says she's taking me to, we'll get there. And I'm like, okay. So then when all of this was happening, and then he was like, but Estelle says she's taking you out, will you still go? And I was like, I'll go. But then it's like the pain was there, and he was like, okay, then if that's the case, then I'm going for rehearsal. And I was like, what do you mean I'm going for rehearsal when I'm feeling the way I'm feeling? And I think that's when we called the doctor, and he was like, then that's labor. Labor has begun. So get to the hospital. And that's when they told me that the place that she was taking me to was my baby shower. And I was like, but how do you plan a baby shower for 38 weeks? And you see, the thing is that when it was like April, I gave birth in May. In April, I was, I don't know, 32 to 36 weeks or 30, I don't remember. But around that time, I was like, okay, if a baby shower is going to happen, then this is the time, because I mean, there was Easter weekend, there was Easter Monday, there was even the workers' holiday, is it May 1st or whatever? So when all those times passed and nothing happened, I was like, oh well, then I guess no baby shower for me. Continue your story.
Okay, so that Saturday, like you said, we went for an all night, and then we came home. In fact, we bought cocoa, some hot cocoa be that Saturday morning.
You go home before you say you want to go and buy the cocoa.
Oh, so we went back.
We went back.
True, yeah. Some nice joints be. And then we left her in the car. So her husband and I were still, planning how we'll take her there, because this woman, so difficult to surprise her. Like, who does that? So annoying, but to be anything. And then here I was, so we had a WhatsApp page we had created for the baby shower, and they were chat, okay, so what time I'm bringing AC and all that. And then madam, so I woke up, actually I was sleeping. So when I woke up, they're like, hey, I say labor, but I'm like, what is happening? I was a bit scared, because for me it was my first time. And in fact, the Friday night, this woman was too active. Like, she was just jumping, and as a point, I'm like, hey, this one you're jumping, baby, was church and all that, but she won't stop. The energy was too high, so I had to join her. We're dancing. In fact, God had been good to us, so and then when Richie was like, Charlie, it looks like this shower day, go hopping. I'm like, what's happening? He's like, oh, baby's coming. I'm like, huh? Today of all days. Funny enough, on the page we all said, what if AC on the day of shower decides to give birth that day? What would we do? And then we laughed it off, thinking, so yeah, girl. Hey.
So when they told me that they had planned a shower for me, this was like 3 or 3:30.
Yeah.
And the shower was supposed to start at 4 o'clock or 4:30.
I think it was 4. Yeah, it was 4.
So an hour to my so the contraction started at 2.
Yeah.
From the time 2. I noticed, it was 2 o'clock. Then I told him at 2:30. So 2 hours before my baby shower, I go into labor. So then I asked them that. She was like, okay, then we have to go to the hospital. And I was like, but who and who are supposed to be at the baby shower? So when she started mentioning the names, like some of my aunties, my friends, my mom. No, actually, he didn't mention my mom, so I didn't even know she was even going to be there. And I was like, oh, then I have to be at the baby shower. At least let's just pass through the baby shower. And he was like, you see yourself? I was like, but it's on the way. We'll literally pass by there. So let's just stop over. At least let me see everybody's face. It's not nice, like, you know. So I said, okay, let me go and bath, and then we'll get going. So by then, it got to a point where it's like, I have to stop. Like, I was bathing, and then a contraction would start, and then I had to like stop, and then let it pass, and then continue bathing. So I went to bath, got dressed, and then we left. And when we got downstairs and we were waiting for Richie to like bring my tea, this girl was now recording me, and I was like, I'm in pain right now, and all you're doing is recording me. But I was like, I'll deal with her later. Right now it's not the time. So we got to the baby shower, and then immediately I got down, and then I saw like all my mothers and my friends. Then I started crying, and I was like, I don't want them to think that like the labor is so painful that I'm crying, so I have to stop crying. Like, oh, this thing is not hard. So then I saw my mom too, which was a very pleasant surprise. I was like, oh, Charlie, and now I'm in labor. And I had been looking forward to like a baby shower so much, and then now I don't get to enjoy the baby shower because labor. So when we got there, we were like, okay, then we have to do everything fast so that you can head off to the hospital. I was like, okay, you first, let me go and pee and come. So I took my time because a contraction came and I had to stop and then continue my journey. And then I think my most memorable part of the baby shower, and it's something I will never forget, I can promise myself I will never forget this, was the fact that throughout the time that I was cutting the cake, I had a contraction. So I'm supposed to be smiling for the cake, and I didn't want anybody to know whenever a contraction was passing. So I was like, okay, let me just keep smiling. So it's like the contraction was passing, I was just like, and we're cutting the cake. And then now that another friend of mine was sitting there asking me, are they painful? Like, how does it feel? Like, I was like, this is the last time I don't even want to be answering such questions right now. I was like, oh, it's not painful, like it's manageable. So I sat down, I ate cake, ate kebab, drank Fanta, ate chicken.
Interesting.
What else? Yeah, and then we're like, okay. So I didn't get to, I always look forward to like the advice, you know, like when you go for baby shower, because the advice they give you and everything. We couldn't even do all that because it was like fast, let's go. So then they prayed over me, and then we headed. So we're there for just about 30 minutes or 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was less than 30.
And then we headed, but like immediately we sat in the car, and then we drove off for like 2 minutes. Then the pain went up a notch, and I was like, I'm so glad we left just when we did, because otherwise then they'll just have like, they'll be so sorry for me. So anyway, if you tell your part.
Well, so from that point I was scared, because this is my first time seeing someone in labor, and I was in the car and I was at the back, and she's like, my waist, still up my back, and as if I was even freaking out. Like, I didn't know what to do, and Richard was trying to, you know, drive, because like, when you hit a bump, my tummy, like, so we're just, you know, slowly, but I was scared. I'm like, God, I hope she doesn't give birth to the car, because me, I don't go feel do you know. It was scary, but I just kept doing most, like, she's like, please rub my back, no, Arabica, are you okay? No, this side.
But you know, at a point I realized that the rubbing didn't work. It was rather irritating. Okay. I felt like you're also trying to be helpful, so I felt like you will feel bad if I tell you stop rubbing my back. So I was just like, okay, you let her do it. And then we get to the main stretch towards the hospital, and there was traffic.
Accra.
So now the decision was, should we continue, and then if it is bad, do pay and pass through the middle, or use some shortcuts that we knew of, but then that road wasn't too good. But weighing the options, we were just like, let's just use The shortcut. Now the shortcut too. I think we had to stop like 2 or 3 times
More than
because.
that, actually.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah, it was more than that. It was more than. Trust me. Because every point there was a pothole and we had to slowly dive. You're like, like, hold this in there. Please don't give birth in your car. Like, take your time. Like, it was too scary.
Like the car couldn't move whenever. At that point, with the rough road, we had to stop the car whenever a contraction was passing because like the pain coupled with the. So by the time we got to the hospital, the car park, I realized that the rubbing of my back was annoying me. But I was like, okay, we got into the hospital anyway, so that's it. Got down from the car. I remember like at that time there was a contraction, so I was leaning on the car, and then it stopped, and then I walked to the reception. And when I got to the reception, I was relieved to find a chair because I just wanted to sit down. So just when I was literally about to sit down, then the lady was like, "Are you in labor?" I said yes. She was like, "No." I was like, "Can I just sit for like 2 seconds?" But then I just walked. She showed me she took me to the labor room. Immediately I got there, the midwife was like, "Okay, get undressed," and then she gave me a gown to wear, and I was like, I needed to pee. I said, okay, then go and pee. When I went to pee, then it's like suddenly it really hits me that I'm in labor. I'm in the labor room, like it's about to happen. Then I started crying, and the pain was painful, like just made the contractions painful. So I went to lie down. Then the midwife was like, "Oh, why are you crying? Labor is sweet, though." And I'm looking at her like, "What do you mean by labor is sweet?" It's like, labor is sweet, though. It's sweet.
Sweet.
So I just went to lie down. Then she checked how dilated I was, and I remembered that they said when they check the dilation, they use their hand. So I think each number of fingers tells. I think if they're able to fit. I don't even know how they measure it, but when she measured, I was 3 centimeters dilated, and I was like, oh, okay, that's not bad. And she's like, when did the pain start? And I was like, oh, around like 2:30. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, like, because that's when we got to the hospital at 5. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. She's like, really? Like, I don't know why it was surprising. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't get it. Then, but my water never broke. I never saw the bloody show. None of that. It was just the contractions that started. And then they have this way of checking the contractions. Like before, she was like, before you feel the contraction, they can already feel it. So she had to sit by my bed for 10 minutes, I think. And then she presses like her hand over your belly the entire time. So it's like they're able to feel, she said there's a way they're able to feel the contractions before they actually happen, like if it's about to start. So that's how they time it to know how far apart each contraction is. But that was so uncomfortable because it's like you're already in pain and uncomfortable, and then they are pressing on your belly. They are pressing on your belly, and it's like, yeah. Then an hour later, checked again, and I was 5 centimeters. So I was happy. I was like, hey, then this one there, fast. Like everything I prayed for is about to happen. Like I'm sure, like by, so that was like 6 o'clock. So I'm like, oh, I'm sure by 8 o'clock there, then, I mean, we're out of here. So by then they were also doing a shift change. So then another nurse came on. But by then the pain had gone up. And I was just shouting. And so the new nurse came on and she was like, don't shout. Just breathe. When you shout, you're using all your energy and you need the energy to push. So she taught me how I should breathe. I was like, what is this? So I did it and I was like, it's not bringing me any relief. And she was like, okay, let me rub my back. And I was like, no, don't touch my back. Don't touch my back. And she was like, oh, really? Because for her and for other women, when they are in labor, like it really helps. I was like, no, it was very irritating. And of course, when you're in labor, they have you lie on your left side. because it improves blood flow and I think oxygen to the baby. So you have to lie on this. So I was on my left the whole time, but whenever they wanted to monitor, they wanted to check the dilation or monitor the baby's heartbeat, then they'll have you lie on your back so that they can do that. And then this nurse comes and she decides to check me after the other one had just checked me, and she was like, but this is not. But I think at that time the one had checked me again, and she said 6, but she came and checked me, like, but it's not 6, this is 5. And I was like, I thought I had progressed. Like, it's like when you hear the number going up, it gives you hope that, oh,
almost there.
We are almost there. So I think eventually, like after the birth, every time I thought back to it, I was like, how did I survive that pain for that long? And the only answer I could come up with was the fact that, like, I just felt like, oh, it won't be long because the pain was anyway. But you were in the waiting room at the time.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
And so I was there, and everybody at the shower was trying to. So hi, is the baby in and all that? And I was chatting. That, oh no, she's still in pain.
And the people who were at the baby shower.
Yes. So Coco and the others were getting in touch, and then I had low battery, and I'm like, oh. So the nurse at the reception like, can I please charge my phone? I was like, no, we don't allow you to charge your phone. And I'm like, so how do I even communicate to people when I don't have, a phone here? But that's another story. And here I was waiting, like, oh, Isabel was here, like the baby's coming out, proud auntie, I'm there hopeful and all that. Charlie, no, nothing was happening. So the husband Richie comes, I'm like, Richie, how fast? Like, Charlie, she's still in pain, I have to buy this drug. I'm like, wow, it's been how many hours? And at the point I was really tired, sitting there alone and seeing the pain she had gone through. I was like, I just wish, fast connection, back, she'll deliver and we are gone. But it didn't happen that way. So all I did was like, Charlie, let me start praying. And Charlie, the vampire, prayed and prayed. At the point, like, God, Charlie, do a miracle. And every time I was praying, Richard came out, he had another drug, or she was still in pain. And then I'm like, okay. So I think I came in briefly to see, but when I saw, I was afraid. I just went back to sit at the reception. I came in there at a point in pain, but when I opened the door and I saw you, I'm like, this one, I don't think I can be in the room with you. I'm like, Richard is there, so I'm just going to continue my prayer at the reception. Then I just ended up still praying. And then your cousin came, Coco, stood by me, and she's like, oh, so how is it going? And then we started praying there. So like for the prayers, there was on end. We're just praying, hoping that. And she was like, okay, she's going to check on her. I'm like, yes, me, I'll be here, so leave your things with me. And then I think it was almost about 8, and then we're all hungry. But I'm like, Charlie, and this one is not about food. That's why today we have food here, It wasn't all about food. So it was like, Charlie, her safety was my priority. I'm like, Charlie, this one should come out well and safe for the baby. That's all we asked for. And God, delivered.
But seriously, those who are able to go through labor alone, like, you don't have any family with you, it's just you and then the midwife. I don't know how you did it, because for me it was a priority that I had, that I wanted my husband there. Also because, like, hello,
hi,
I'm not the only parent to the baby. So I needed like support. So I was glad he was there. But he also suffered because I really clawed at him. Like, I was hitting him. So I was lying on my left, so he was sitting right there. And then, remember at a point, somebody was calling. And I was like, why is, like, it just got me annoyed. I was like, I don't want to hear anything. Just put off the phone. So I think he put off the phone. And then they were like, would you drink anything? And I was like, no. Like, she was like, no, you have to drink something. You need to get some energy. So they had him go and buy me some fruit juice. So now up to today, anytime I drink that juice, I remember the labor ward. It's like my labor juice. So he went and bought that, and then they used like the drip, that wire that they used to connect drip to the body. They used that as the straw. So then I had to sip through that, and I was so thirsty. Like, I've never been so thirsty in my life. Like, my mouth was so dry, like super dry. It was crazy, and I didn't really want to drink anything. And then the times where they are like, oh, you should go and buy medicine for me, I was like, I can't be alone. Like, so thankfully there was one time that's like when they said, okay, go and get medicine for her. I think that the second nurse on duty was there, and then another nurse came by, and she was also pregnant, and she was like, oh, don't worry, I'll be here, you just hit me, whatever. So she stood by the bedside, so I literally like hugged her. So every time a contraction came, it's like I was trying to be nice to her because she was pregnant, and it's like,
Can you imagine?
you know.